So originally, what you're probably seeing on screen right now is this whole everything I had recorded for this Young Souls videos about 3 weeks ago. Cause, dude, I was gonna conduct a very well put together review on the game after 100%ing it. But honestly, dude, I just can't be bothered right now, man. It is like annoying me to try to go about this too structured. So I got this video ready. I got my talking points set up. Now I know, my bad, I'm interrupting the video. This could be like this for a number of reasons. I forgot to mention in the gameplay portion of when I started doing that talking point that I wish the drop rate on the materials to upgrade the weapons and armors was increased. I don't know what the state of the game is now when I'm recording this video, but low key, I do wish it was a little bit higher so that you could upgrade more weapons to play around with more weapons in your playthrough if you wanted to switch weapons. It could have been done like this intentionally to stretch you either to farm longer or to just be weary with your upgraded materials, like they're rare materials, so you don't want to be just upgrading everything or you won't. But I just felt like it was a little weird since it was also tied to an achievement. And it could have been done, games, like I said, could have been done intentionally, but just in my own opinion, it sucked a little bit, and material drop rate should have been a bit higher, and the rarest ones that you could get, I don't know if they can only upgrade the level 6 weapons, but the highest rare ones that you could get should have also dropped from boxes. I don't know if they did, and it was just a super low drop rate, but that was one of the things in the game that I was like, damn, I wish I had more mats to upgrade like all the weapons so I could almost see the stats. Or even for somebody else playing out there that wanted to like upgrade all the weapons to max and see how they actually fare at end game, or what are the sorts of better weapons to use. That's all. Now enjoy the video. Peace. And I'm honestly just going to go through them and tell you about my experience and if I think you should buy the game, which I will say right here. I think it's a really good game. I think you should definitely pick it up if you're a fan of those games that's like you go screen to screen and it pops up with a little go and tells you to go. Because the combat in this game is definitely fun. I'll be talking about that in a second. But I definitely think it's an enjoyable game. When you get through half the game, I'm not going to spoil it, but you should just ignore the writing. So if that's all you wanted for if you should get the game or anything, I definitely think it's a game worth to be enjoyed. It, to me, I feel like the devs behind it definitely put their heart into it. It's a aesthetically pleasing game to look at and everything. So yeah, definitely go and get it. Now, I'm going to be spoiling a couple things in here. It's probably not going to be huge spoilers, but I'm just going to go through the talking points real quick. So, bugs, I'm going to get bugs out the way first. There was a very annoying white screen bug that would happen when you would level up in the bedroom. Not only that, it would happen when you fast travel sometimes. I had footage of all this, but basically I'm gonna tell you like this. Be warned too. I don't know if any of this stuff is the same. There's probably been updates since I played the game. But I don't know because I don't have it installed anymore. But there was a white screen that I would basically have to go to the escape menu and use the sound cues of hovering over the different selections to save my game and quit the game. Because like it was like freezing my whole thing. Like I couldn't even bring up Task Manager to end the process. I don't know what the whole deal with that was, but yeah, it would white screen from time to time. Don't really know what was going on. Also, a thing from that you can see from my footage in the background, the twins' eyes were blinking super fast. I've seen this in other games where it has like this FPS thing going on, but all the NPCs in the game were fine. They weren't blinking, or their animations weren't super like going super fast like the twins were. So that was a little bit immersion breaking, but nothing too annoying. I went through the whole entire game. So there was that. And then like one more bug was when I would fast travel to the little hub area to go through the different zones to teleport to, like when you would go through the actual levels, the teleporter wouldn't load sometimes. It would glitch where I would try to run into it. I would just be running into it forever. So like I would try to hit it and I would just hit the invisible barrier that doesn't let you walk past the portal. that was annoying, but not too bad. Again, sometimes I'd have to reset the game or just leave the area and come back. But aside from that, that's all I really encountered in the game. And then there's like a minor one where enemies got stuck spawning outside the gates of some of the levels, in the later levels though. And I always chalk that up to, game design takes a while, coding, all of it, So I'm not over here talking too much smack. But, sometimes you get a little bit lazy on the end of a creation if it's a project that's taken forever. And that's just what it seemed for some of these levels where they had gates, enemies would get stuck on them. Might not have the same problem me. The game might go completely smooth, but I definitely think that white screen one is one to watch out for because some menus did get glitched during the level ups and stuff. The little level up cinematics and stuff. And aside from that, I'm going to go on to combat and things of that nature and boss design. I thought all the bosses were really cool. I thought the designs of the goblins and everything was really cool. I like the combat a lot. I will say, though, there are weapons that are definitely stronger than other weapons. And what I will say is something that I want to see more implemented in games, but this might be my only take. I don't know if anyone else has had this take, is that when weapons are done in tiers that I'm not saying all weapons have to completely balance out, like, say daggers and a greatsword. If someone smacks you in the head with a greatsword or a dagger, your head will probably get taken off with a greatsword, right? But a dagger, you're gonna get like a clean little cut through, blah blah. In game, by the way, in game. Trying to stay in game for YouTube, so in game. So you would have your normal stuff that's kind of like the Dark Soulsy stuff where it's like obvious. If I'm picking up a gigantic greatsword, there's going to be slower attack speed, weight, but higher damage, things like that. Totally understandable. Where Young Souls goes a little bit weird with it is that daggers are definitely the weaker class. I don't know if anything has been changed, but there's like great swords, one-handed swords, great swords, two-handed axes, hammers, daggers, and then I can't remember if I'm forgetting anything else, but like the defensive side is shields. But aside for that, daggers, the summoning on some of the daggers, whatever daggers I got that allowed me to summon spiders, and then like later on the other daggers I got, they were a godsend for playing on the hardest difficulty because, dude, I just, the summons help distract like the enemies or the bosses because they would mostly one-shot you if you haven't had the gear yet, and honestly, I don't know if that's not balanced or balanced, but I like the hard mode a lot in this game because it made the enemies hit harder rather than making them squishier. At least that's what I observed. I don't know if that was true or not. I don't know. I didn't play on the other difficulties. I played straight the hardest one right off the bat and beat the entire game. And I don't know if in the lesser modes, if enemies have less health or hit less. I don't know. I don't even remember if that's specified in the main menu. Again, I'm doing this video so long into the future, so yeah. But definitely the daggers are the weakest class in the gameplay and the combat. The movesets are clean for like all the weapons mostly. They're very, very clean, but daggers are weak. Like I can't. I wish there was like a way that you could upgrade the daggers to get a little bit, because you want to like use your favorite weapons, and that's where my take is a little bit hot. I feel like that there should be daggers that rival swords, but not in terms of what they do, but like the damage. Maybe there's a balance you can find where the damage, it's like if I want to do more damage, or sort of like, it's like almost like the weapons average each other out, but then the weapons that should be doing more damage do more damage, and the other ones kind of like, come to this like balanced point. I guess balance would be for the great swords too. But what I'm kind of trying to say is like literally they're aside from the summons, and maybe that's the whole play on the daggers being weaker, but not all the daggers have summons. The daggers are like not vital. Like you are doing yourself a way better justice, unless you're trying to do a challenge run, playing with anything else but the daggers. There's a hammer that's really fire that you get in the game from an enemy drop. That again, hammers, I do wish that the hammers had a little bit more of a move set. But other than that, everything was pretty cool there. But daggers are definitely weak. Um, yeah. As for difficulty, like I said, I played on the hardest difficulty. I would say only some of the fights really felt unfair, but I really can't call them unfair if I beat them all. So to me, it's very fair. But I would say if you're like a newer player trying to play on the harder difficulties, there are some fights that could feel unfair. But honestly, I thought about this when recording these takes multiple times. That honestly, if I got through it, you can get through it too. You know, we're built with the same not genetic makeup, but the same biological makeup. You guys got it. You can overcome it. It's not too crazy. But I would say some of the molten area and the ice area fights felt a little bit weird. It felt like some of the mini bosses or enemies would one shot me way worse than bosses would one shot me. But there are definitely some story bosses where I felt like, damn, they lacked a little bit. Where some of the story bosses I completely took out in one try, and that could have been just like the results of me getting way better at the mechanics of the game. I love when there's a parry system in the game. I should say that too. There is a parry system, and it is clean. And some items give you more of like a parry window. But the perfect parries in the game are completely fun. And I think every parry is technically a perfect parry. There doesn't seem like there's too much of a crazy parry window where you'll get a late parry and take some damage. Like I think it's just all perfect parry. More with gameplay too, and I'll go back into bosses a little bit more. But definitely some of the bosses feel like I feel like there was a balancing thing with the bosses. Like you beat some bosses easier than you would beat others, but again, that could be personal. So I won't really know there. When you got knocked down in the game, this was something for me that drove me mad. The recovery to get up just felt too long. Again, could be personal to me, but even when I went into settings to see if there was like a little special get up thing, which there was, like I think you use whatever the roll button is to like press it as soon as you get knocked down and you'll roll out of the knockdown. That did not work like 95% of the time for me. And I could have been getting the timing off, but I'm not sure. It felt like you were knocked down for way too long. So something I started utilizing later when I realized, oh, this is strong, is switching the twins in and out. That is honestly some of the best ways to dodge damage, get out of the way. But be careful where you do switch, because when you're switching the twins and one hops in and one hops out, they still do take damage. And that was also something early in the game that I didn't even notice was the rally system. If you don't know about a rally system, a rally is like you lose health, but then like if your character stays out of combat, they'll gain health back, or if they hit the enemy, they'll gain health back. So the way the rally system worked in this game, as I'll sort of say, is instead of you hitting the enemy to get health back, you switch out the characters and they will heal the damage, the like burned health damage that they took. That was a really cool addition. And I learned that this is what was happening way too late in the game. It's kind of like the middle. Not way too late, but I noticed it way later than I should have. But that came in clutch with realizing, oh, if they get hit and their health looks way lower, but there's a little orange bar that they can gain back, let me switch them out and use the other twin. So yeah, and roughly by the end of the game, I ended up building the twins pretty similar. And as we're kind of going into art style and all of that, I will say the equipment, I guess I'll just touch on the equipment too. I think the level up system is really cool. You hit the gym in this game and you pump some iron or do cardio for certain stats. For like stamina, I think you hit the cardio. For strength, you're lifting weights. And I can't remember what you're doing for vitality. But I'm telling you right now, you will never, ever have to level up your health. I don't know if things have changed, but just get your health from the equipment. Literally just get your health from the armor that you put on and level up stam if you really need it and level up strength, because doing more damage, at least in the harder difficulties, is way, 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 way more worth it. Like, so worth it. I was doing so much damage later on. It felt so good to just start steamrolling things. But telling you right now, just avoid upgrading health. Put all your points into stam and strength, and you will thank me later. But that system was pretty cool, leveling up within the gym, getting little gym tickets in between like certain levels. That I think they were spaced out. I honestly think after the first couple levels, it should have just been a ticket every single level so we could get super strong. That would have been cool. But that's just a personal thing. As for the I feel like I'm kind of missing something that I want to talk about in terms of the game design, but I think we're pretty much okay. Oh yeah, actually, I just remembered the respawn. Okay, dying in the zones and then getting shot out the portal and getting back into the fight. I'll say this. It was a very cool cinematic little animation the first couple times. But I feel like with games like this and any other game, which I can't really say, but any game in this genre, right? You kind of want to get back into the action. Again, this is really personal to me, but a little bit of the problem for me was that you didn't get back into the combat fast enough. I almost like wanted to get straight back into the level in the zone and get straight back to where I was. There was a lot of die and run, wait for the portal to respawn, and then you guys run into the portal, get the whole slow motion effect when you exit the portal, and that shit was a little bit annoying after a while. I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit mind numbing because I was like, all right, I just want to get back into the, after the first two zones, I think it really started to get into me where I was just like, bruh, I just have to not think about it. But where, on the hardest difficulty, you're going to be dying a lot in the beginning. So you got to see that animation and run all the way back through. And that's the where I said the gate may glitch sometimes is when you go through that gate. Well, sometimes when this glitch would occur, you can't run through the gate. And sometimes if you run too early or run too late, which I think the slow motion was supposed to be stopping you from having this happen, it would still happen because you're just rushing and want to get back into the combat, give it another try. It honestly would have been cooler if you died in the levels and it just restarted you at the beginning of the level or something similar to that, because I think you could fast travel back to the little hub area in the basement every single time. But that's, I think, it for gameplay. Some of the little levels, because I got through everything else, so I'm not really gonna say anything else on that. Art style and environment and setting. The art style was pretty cool. The setting, it took place in like this little town, and that's mostly it. And like I guess goblins were under the surface, and I will say the art style was like this pastel, sort of like painting paper mache cutout. I said paper mache, but like paper art cutout is almost like how I described it. It's like a pastels. I think about like pistachio ice cream for some fucking reason. But it was pretty nice. I like the style. It's pretty cute to me, like washed colors almost. But, and the environment was pretty cool. A lot of the levels were pretty sick too. A lot of the level designs. I loved like going through the molten area and the icier area. And I loved going through the like necromancers area. But y'all know what I'm talking about if you play. But it was pretty cool. It was done pretty well. I would say to throw in a little gameplay thing here, the platforming was a bit like weird when you would run and jump. They could have fixed the run and jump a little bit onto the platforms because of how the running, like it's like when you would run and jump, you would slow down in midair. Oh my gosh, that fucked it up for me for a couple of the platforms that they put in the game. That annoyed me, But other than that, it was okay. That was it. So the story and writing. Now, this might be a little bit, controversial. But what I will say is the story and the writing was pretty good. In the beginning, I got it. I was like, oh, they're twins. They're adopted by the scientists, But the whole thing is that the goblins were pushed underground or within the earth. Because, I guess humans doing human things. And the goblins were going to start this whole goblin war. And Yolanda, which was like a goblin champion, stopped the whole goblins from raiding the surface before. Or she was like, so this is where I say the writing gets a little bit confusing. Now, the twins cursed, they're vulgar and everything. And I kind of like that side of them. But a bit of what they would say, like I saw myself in them, right? But what was a little bit annoying later on, besides they were like, I guess they were like total delinquents or some shit. Who, I guess that's really just like hinted at in the beginning because you're skipping school. But what just got annoying, I think I'm just gonna get to it because I'm like trying to dance around it. Was this? The story died halfway through the game. it dropped off. It started to drop off. I won't say it completely died. But what's funny is when I noticed something started getting weird about the writing, I went to the Steam comment section to see like the Steam reviews, and people agreed and said the same thing, and I laughed because I was like, yo, I know that they noticed this because it was a little bit weird to me. I'm going to sum it up in best like I can. We'll be here all day if I try. But basically, the Goblin War was going on, and the twins want to get the professor back. They're like, this is their adoptive father, and they want to get him back. So they go to get him back, and they basically are being hunted by these goblins. Like, logically think about this. They're being hunted by straight up masterminds, as the game is making it sound. Like, they're being hunted by a straight up master assassin, like a master gadget person, just a whole army. They're having waves and waves of people, of goblins, not people, but goblins, goblin folk, as it is in the game, goblins, trying to assassinate two teenagers. That's basically the whole thing. But then they start getting this weird compassion out of nowhere, it seemed like. Yeah, I'm trying to remember for the goblins, like they felt bad for all the slaughtering they did, though they didn't. It's like kind of that saying of who drew the first blood sort of thing. It's like in this scenario, they were literally going to be assassinated and killed just trying to protect the one goblin who sticks in the little goblin area and is working with the professor. They were going to just be killed right off of that. They're trying to kill kids. So it felt really weird at first. And then that's the thing about the twins, too. It's like throughout the game, there would be some bosses they felt remorse for and then no remorse for. It'd be like, oh, this goblin just wanted to have her gadgets and blah, 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 and just invent things and didn't want to be a part of this war. But then they would fight the next person and literally the dialogue, I'm quoting the dialogue, would be like, no, I hate his fat fucking face. I was like, what? I'm so confused. But in the last boss, y'all felt bad. What is going on? So, like, the writing and stuff is just a bit off towards the end of the game. It just gets strange. Even with this whole, like, the end of the game kind of cliche to me where it's like they're fighting this shadow assassin. So this was a cool fight, though, fighting the shadow versions of themselves. But the weird thing about the story was just, like, the shadow assassin guys started, like, trying to fill their heads with doubts and regret and all of this, and it just didn't land well for me, especially being like a game that's supposed to be a little bit edgier. It didn't land for me. I felt like it was kind of corny, and they didn't really do well with the writing there. Aside from that, Yolanda was supposed to be like this champion and everything, but I feel like she was written a little bit wrong too, where she stopped the Goblin War, I guess, but they said that she killed Toplanders. So, and from what I've learned from like all the wisdom that I've acquired over the years, it's kind of like it's like a necessary evil, and it would have been cool to see them gain wisdom in that way, because that's definitely how they were written to be, like, they were supposed to be wise, or the whole journey was they were supposed to go through, this whole path that made them wiser on why they fight and who they're trying to defend. But it didn't land because it happened way too fast. For me, I've been being called wise since I was like a kid, a child, right? By teachers and shit, through the experiences that I went through in life. And when I experienced it in this game, what they were going through, it didn't make sense to me. Like, I would understand if they looked back on this after they stopped the whole Goblin War and tried to make peace. Even if it was just written like, yo, let's try to make peace. Let's try to settle the differences. If they literally had that in the forefront, like, and they talked about like, yo, we don't want to be killing these people, but we have to because they're hunting us. If it was written more like that, instead of like, they just felt like bad, like they're killing and what are they doing? It felt like it came out of nowhere for literally the fact that they're getting hunted first. And then should we have been shown the goblin side of it besides through Yolanda, who's not even in the game? She's just a spirit, an apparition that we encounter to get weapons from, and her story here and there where she's saying, like, you know, the enigmatic stuff, the wisdom. It's like, it feels just strange. It felt like weird, and it didn't work for me, and I don't think it really did work anyways. And what I was saying about, you know, being wiser at a young age is like, for me, it felt like a lot of experience caused that. A lot of early stage trauma and shit caused me to realize really quickly. But for them, it felt way rushed. And then it just felt like that whole perfect world kind of thing put on. Like, oh, let's not like set aside the differences. Like, you know, and just felt too weird. I don't know if I'm explaining that or saying that in the right way, but it just felt strange. And it felt like they literally were kind of clowning on the fact that they didn't get Yolanda's wisdom when she was asking them, like, who do you fight for? What do you fight for? Do you ask yourself why you fight? That kind of monk-esque wisdom. It didn't feel like it hit, because it felt like some of the times the twins literally just did not care. And it was like, I would have rather they just were fighting for peace to stop this war, and their sights were so focused on getting the professor that it was like, look, if you are going to try to come and kill us, we're going to kill you till we get to the professor, and that's it. That's what we're going to have to do. And then by the end, come around with this whole resolution like, yo, we don't have to fight. Like, no more lives have to be lost. But it was just randomly thrown in the middle, and it was just like, then this was just them. I don't even know. You'll see what I mean if you play the game for yourself. Also, another thing with the writing, there was some weird things here and there, like the goblin who stayed in the equipment place the whole time. Bro, he coughed in every goddamn dialogue from the moment you saved him. I was like, what was the purpose of this? He would literally cough in every other sentence. And I was like, what? Made no fucking sense. But he coughed in every other sentence. And I was just like, bro, whoever wrote this, like, I was like, yo, we saved you, like, for me in game time, I saved you like an hour ago. Or like no. By the end of the game, he was still coughing. So, like, I could have literally said, like, yo, I saved you like 20 hours ago. You didn't go to the store and get some cough syrup? Like, why was he coughing throughout all the dialogue? I was like, who the fuck wrote this? I don't know. But again, a lot of this stuff wasn't too terribly, like, bad. I'm just, like, kind of joking at some points too. I'm, like, exaggerating it a little bit. Not the coughing thing. He literally coughed the entire dialogue, like every other sentence. But when it came to how bad the writing was, it wasn't too crazy bad. It just got cringe because it felt like the twins didn't even gain the experience. Like, in their mind, I feel like, but I can't say what they feel because, again, it's the feelings of the writers and everything, and, like, making their own personality. But based on their personality and me feeling like seeing a part of myself in them, it just didn't feel like that would be how they just all of a sudden, because you don't know how you're really experiencing time throughout the game too, because, like, I think I beat everything within maybe the first 28 hours or 37. I don't remember. But I don't know if the length of how the game was going really felt like in that amount of time they had that wisdom. I would understand if that wisdom came later down the line, where they go and look back on the war that they fought and say, like, you know, so many lives were lost and all that by the end. And, like, if they got to the end of the game even saying that would have made more sense to me. But what, you know, that's my own personal thing. I think to just wrap this up, though. Oh, there's one little thing that I'll say was a little thing that's just, to me that they threw this in. Was this could have just been left out the game. It was a little thing that, again, broke my immersion. But the armor in the game is named Connery. When you go to rescue Connery, the guy twin, the boy, Tristan. It was Jen and Tristan. I think it was Tristan, hopefully. Tristan says, was that goblin a girl or a boy? I couldn't tell, though they were cute. Or he asked if goblins had genders and all of that. And that just caught me for a loop because, you know, if you've been paying attention to games nowadays, the whole politics in the games, I just felt like that was just like an unnecessary moment within the game, you know? Because to me, it was just like any other goblin he could have said that about. Also, like this whole thing has been so blown out of proportion and annoying that when I seen it in the game, I was just like, damn, bro, like the writing was already bad. Like this could have just been left out, or he could have just said like that goblin was cute. That was it. That was it. That was it. That would have been fine. But to literally ask if goblins had genders and everything, it felt like that uncanny sort of immersion breaking where it was like that literally came from this universe. Like today's day and age of what's going on in politics and this all this bullshit going on, and it wasn't genuinely a fantasy world. It was like that took me out for a second. Like what the fuck? Like whoa, like what? And it's like you're going through the entire game without any of them saying this. There's no NPC you can talk to. Like there's like this one girl who stands in the shoe shop and stuff, and it's like this like little cute sprite they put. You can't talk to her, and you know Tristan finds her cute. You can't talk to any other guy on the street, and Tristan will find him cute. And it's just this whole thing too. It's like that was just strange, and it's like they're supposed to be these two badass action fighting twins that skip school and are delinquents. So did we really need that little moment in there? I'm not sure. But again, their game, they want to throw, the writers want to throw that in there. Hey, I'm not hating, whatever. It just felt unnecessary anyways that was there. It's like you're two badass fighting twins. Like, let's just go fuck shit up and rescue our adoptive father. But that was in there, and yeah, the writing just that showed me. I knew from that moment when that happened in the game that the writing was gonna be like, because you just can tell, man. Because it just felt more like just a political little throw in there. But it is what it is. It's their game, you know. I'm not hating. But conclusion is overall the game was a fun game to play. I had a lot of fun getting the paramechanic suit like super down, but it wasn't too bad. It was a fun game. It was definitely fun. I don't regret any of my time with the game, and you know the combat was fun. I bet if I played on a casual difficulty or a normal difficulty, I definitely could see how playing through this would be like tons of fun. I looked up a speed run to watch a speed run of the game. And yeah, I love it. I definitely was like, I was sold on the art style when I first seen it and everything. But, you know, the only downside when I officially started playing were some of the bugs that popped up in the writing, purely. If the writing just was so solid and everything like that, I think the game would have done way better than it maybe do. I don't know. There's more time to come for people to hear about it. I don't know if it's still a hidden gem right now or people do know about it, but to me, it definitely does hit that hidden gem feel. For its performance and doing better within just the sphere of those types of games, I think the writing is going to be the one that you hear about the most. Because I think the combat and everything was not too bad since I got through the entire game. But there were definitely some parts that may have felt imbalanced, but again, it's all subjective to me. So let me know what you think down below if you played the game. If the devs are watching, hey, it's a fire game. Good job. I'm out of here. Peace.